England handed Italy their first loss in a Euro qualifier for 40 matches, but what happened and how did it play out? Join me as we go through some of the major talking points from this game and dive a little bit deeper into what happened. Please like the video and subscribe, it really would mean a lot to me. But now, let's talk about England beating Italy in the Euro qualifiers. The game ended Italy 2, England 1, and a game of two halves is probably the best way to describe it. As we can see from the attacking momentum bar, England started off quite well. Yes, Italy had the better momentum going into the very start of the game, but England started to grow into it and they did start to create some chances, and obviously they got a couple of goals before half time. That being said, the second half rolls along and it's almost like England don't come out and Italy really get to kick up the backside, which causes them to have a lot of intensity, a lot of momentum and a lot of driving force going towards that England goal, and England just couldn't deal with it. They just weren't able to create any kind of momentum from themselves. Gareth Southgate failed to do anything in terms of substitutions before it really mattered, and really what it ends up being is just a very, very nervy half for England. If we see the Italian side right now, they started off with a back four, but it's this midfield three that I really want to discuss. It was Verratti, Jorginho and Barella, and to be honest with you, they weren't able to lay a finger on this England midfield that we're going to have a look at in a second. Barella was moving forward far too much, Jorginho was too slow and not dynamic enough to be able to match the pace and intensity of the likes of Bellingham and Calvin Phillips, and then Verratti was kind of in the middle. He always wanted to drift inside, which we're going to see from his average positions, but also he was failing to really mark the runs from Calvin Phillips going back the other way, and this had a knock-on effect to Italy's forward line. Pellegrini failed to get the ball and so did Berardi, which meant that Retegui really failed to get in any kind of chances or any kind of spaces towards the latter end of the first half, and it was only towards the earlier stages of the second half and the latter stages of the second half that he really started to get into the game. Obviously he gets the goal and I was quite impressed generally with his performance considering how bad his first half was. If we have a look at the England side now though, we can see that we started off in this 4-3-3 formation. Luke Shaw obviously gets sent off. We'll talk about that in just a moment because they really did make it difficult. Harry Maguire, John Stones, Kyle Walker. This is a fine back four for me. Harry Maguire is always going to have a question mark over his head if he doesn't have a spot-on performance for me, and he was the person who committed the challenge, which really did overcommit the defence for the Italy goal. That being said, this midfield three I thought did very, very well. Calvin Phillips has only played under 60 minutes in his entire season for Man City in the Premier League, and the fact that he played the full 90 here is just madness to me. I think he did okay, I think he did fine, but you'll see in the average positions as well that I just felt like he just didn't quite understand the system and he didn't understand the exact positioning to be. Jude Bellingham was far too far forwards, and that's fine, that's where you want it, but I think you want Calvin Phillips there as well. Declan Rice can take care of himself and he's able to drift in and out through the side, and Calvin Phillips was just in no man's land a lot of the time, not knowing whether he should be going forwards, not knowing whether he should be pressing, and he just was a little bit in between. And you can also see it from his stats. You can see that he only had one ground duel, 1 out of his 6 that he went into, and he just seemed a little bit off, and that's to be expected when you've had less than an hour of first team football in the Premier League for your club. It's completely understandable. Jack Grealish misses a vital opportunity to make it 3-0 for England, and that really could have killed the game off for the English side. Bukayo Saka I thought did very, very well with his right hand side development. He got 6 out of his 8 ground duels won, and I thought he had a very, very good game. Again, continuing his really good form from Arsenal into this England side. But I think there's one man that we need to talk about, and that is Harry Kane. And the way that he tucked away that penalty, becoming England's record goal scorer, he is a phenomenal player. And aside from his goal scoring and aside from his real shot creation and his ability on the ball, I thought he did a fantastic job for the team, especially when they went one man down. When Luke Shaw got sent off, Harry Kane did the brunt of the running and the real brute force nature of the way that the game was going. He really took it by the scruff of the neck. He put in a proper captain's performance, and I was extremely impressed with the way he guided that side. I was also impressed with his penalty, considering his last penalty was the one he missed against France in the World Cup. So overall, this team showed a lot of spirit, it showed a lot of fight, and I was very impressed by the way they really overcame the odds against an Italian side that was buoyant, against an Italian side that hadn't lost in 40 Euro qualification matches. They really did need to dig deep, and that's exactly what they did. If we have a look at the average positions now, I'll mention a couple of those points. You can see what I mean with Verratti here. He's number 6 here, and he just almost failed to really either drive forwards and help out Barella, and he also failed to really follow the runs down this side to help out Jorginho, who didn't have the dynamism to really cover this back four. And again, the midfield failed to cover the defenders, but also the defenders were a bit too slow to really react to anything that England did in the first half, and in the end it was just the England midfield just blitzing this Italian midfield, and Mancini had to make some changes, and that's exactly what happens. But if we have a look at the England midfield, you can see also what I mean with Calvin Phillips, because if you see his position here, this is Calvin Phillips here, and if you compare him to Jude Bellingham, who's here, you can see that there's just a difference of alignment. They're not in the same wavelength. They're not on the same wavelength. And you could argue that's because they want to be in a double pivot, but I don't think they do. A lot of the time you found Calvin Phillips pressing from the front next to a Harry Kane, but he almost then drops back straight away. I might be wrong, and there might be some specific instructions that Gareth Southgate wants from Calvin Phillips, but he looked just a little bit lost in this system, and he clearly lacked game time. Jack Grealish cutting inside from this left-hand side as well just failed to give England that width on the left-hand side, and while I thought he picked up the ball well and did drive well on occasion, I thought that he could have done that a little bit more just to relieve some of the pressure and some of the tension, and they just needed to do a little bit better with ball retention, to be honest with you. Bukayo Saka out on this right-hand side, already hugging that touchline, making sure that he's making the pitch really nice and big for the England side to really play out, and it also makes Italy run that little bit further. This is exactly what he does for Arsenal. I'm so happy that he's able to adapt his game and bring it into this England setup. Finally, let's have a look at the statistics, because it really doesn't make good viewing for England fans, and I'm well aware that they won the game and that's the main thing, but 58% possession to 42 for Italy, and really they dominated in nearly every single aspect of this game bar the shots on target. And when you consider the amount of chances they had and the fact they only had one shot on target, that's probably more of a negative on Italy than it is a positive for England. 4 shots on target, and that's really the only thing they have to claim after that quite dismal second half. 43 duels won. That's a very good thing, especially when you consider they had a man sent off after 54 seconds. Well, cumulatively in 54 seconds, Luke Shaw got 2 yellow cards in less than a minute, it would seem. And obviously Italy won the aerial duels, winning a couple of vital headers, but it was England that ends up coming out on top, and I was generally quite impressed with the way that they fought back. I thought the mentality from the boys was quite good, and I thought that Italy really put up a solid fight in the second half, and as you can see, England didn't get a sniff, and it really was about just holding what they had to try and take it away from Italy and just try to maintain their own lead, which they managed to do. The game ended 2-1. A sticky beginning, but they really managed to get the most of it. Record-breaking Harry Kane sending England 2-1 up and beginning their Euro Championship qualifiers with a win. That's it for today, guys. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please leave the video with a like and subscribe if you haven't, for more content like this coming very soon. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well. You don't want to miss what's coming up in the near future, and let me know your thoughts on the game in the comment section below and how you think this England side are going to do going forwards. I would love to hear from you, so please do let me know. But like I said, that's it from me for today. Thank you ever so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your week, and I hope to see you in the next one. But until then, my friends, take care of yourselves, and bye-bye.